Smile, Tom, it's Monday.
Good afternoon. I am calling to order the New Ulm Heritage Preservation Commission, today's May 17th. And we'll go through the minutes of the April 19th council meeting. If everybody has a chance to read through them, if there's any corrections. If not, we'll have a motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept the April 19th meeting.
I'll second it.
I see we've got there's several of them on here. April 5th and March 15th.
Okay, we had the special meeting. I'll make a motion of the special meeting we had on April 5th and also April 19th.
All right, we'll start over. All approved? Our second motion. Who did the second? You did?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We had quite a lengthy design review. I don't know if we need to make any corrections to that, or I read through it, it seemed pretty much accurate from what was offered there. Was that part of that motion?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll go to the city report then.
Well, we got design reviews. The first one is for Shamrock Hornick, 526 South Minnesota, the old Tauschek grocery store. She's proposing to update the signage and the canopy in front of the store. In your packet is a picture of the existing canopies, one over the main entrance and over the three windows, and the existing sign. And in the other photograph is what she's proposing to replace it with.
So the awnings are black?
The awnings are black, yes.
Okay.
Is she planning to use the same hardware from the original?
I don't know if she's using the same hardware. They are going to be a rollout awning, like the existing one is.
Which is good, yeah.
So if that's feasible, I would say that she probably would be using the existing hardware if they can make it work.
As far as the signage, it looks like it's pretty much the same size as far as height and width.
Correct. Yep.
The letter, I don't have any objections to it. It looks pretty
Clean.
clean, and but the guidelines, I checked it out in the book. I didn't have one, so.
Well, the lettering is not to take up more than 60% of the sign area. There is no real. There was talk in the past of 12 to 15 to 9 inches, somewhere in that area, but all the guidelines say is 60% of the sign area.
Okay. I take it it's a black ground, it's painted black or whatever it is,
Yep.
and with white.
White with that kind of that shaded gray
Gray.
in the back. Yep.
Okay.
To give it some dimension, yeah.
Shadow.
Does anybody have any more questions or concerns?
It's going to be good to have that building look better.
Good to me.
Otherwise, we'll look for a motion to approve.
I would so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll go on to the next one.
Okay, the next design review is for Riverside Park School Building down in Riverside Park. Owners is the City of New Ulm. And what they're proposing is replacing the windows, all of them in the building, with a new, let me get to it here, Anderson compliant window, 400 series. So it's going to have a dark bronze exterior and we've got samples up there of either the vinyl or the metal cladding.
Okay,
And then the inside is gonna be a unfinished, pine wood, the window is.
so these are two color choices, or it's part of the whole window?
Well, either, depending on which one you go with. They're both dark bronze.
Yeah.
One is, the vinyl and one is, the aluminum.
Composite.
Yeah. So there's a little difference in there.
I'm gonna pass them around.
And if we go back to the historical pictures that we found, you can see that the windows have always been of a dark color
Right,
in there. And in that one photo, and I don't know the date on that one, you can see that the upper window had already been closed off. And it looks like it's been that way for many years, and what they're proposing
We're
is
gonna-
to put it completely back to the original with the arch part of the window in there.
very nice.
To give a little history on that, I had done some digging in it. After World War II is when this building was actually turned into 2 living units, apartments,
Really?
and that's when these got closed up. I mean, they closed the tops up, put the bottoms in, and they've been that way ever since. I mean, Tom will agree, Director Schmitz, from Park and Rec, they virtually destroyed the interior. They cut off all the fluted casing, lowered the ceiling down to like 8 feet high. So this phase of the project would just be the exterior only.
Right,
The interior will be dealt with in a phase 2 or 3, but that's what happened. That's why the windows were boarded up. They actually had a living space in there after World War II.
well,
And then a couple of comments, I know Director Schmitz, because a couple of things changed today. What we're looking for today, Tom, is the HPC just approving the window and the color, because we still got our jury out. Mr. Bone had called me today about the 400 or the better window. Today, we just want to get the approval, what color, the approval to put the windows in.
Correct. Tom Schmitz, Park and Recreation Department. That's correct, Counselor Christian. Commissioners, we are just looking for approval to move forward with the project, to reestablish kind of the original look of the facade, the original windows with the full top dome, a full window system. And we're just determining yet. We're looking at the Anderson line, and we've moved from, there was 4 different lines that I'm aware of, a 200 series. We've moved up, well, there's 5, 100, 200. We're looking at the 400 series, and then above that, which has got they're all wooden interiors, but the 400 series has a vinyl exterior. The A series has a composite exterior, and then the E series is aluminum exterior. So the look would be similar.
Like I said, we just want the approval with the windows. This one was actually new today, another cladding that is available,
Correct.
that I just learned about today.
okay,
I mean, it changes so fast. One of the big things you want to look for is the exterior approval, interior will wait. As some of you know, in the building trades, window prices will be held for a week,
you know,
if you're lucky. You
Yep.
may be 8, 10, 12 weeks out to get the windows.
right,
That's why this one individual wants to donate the money for the windows. We'll take care of the labor part, the city, just to get approval from the HPC. We know that's a green light.
so we haven't applied for any grant money.
Correct, Chair Zahn and members. This project is on our CIP list, or capital improvement list for Park and Rec. But it has just moved to the top of the list because of a donor stepped forth to fund the windows.
Very nice.
Correct.
So is this going to be with the arch top, is going to be a stationary one with a double hung, or is it just, okay?
If you go through the spec, the top of it is stationary, as from what we can tell
So
is,
it-
and it is a double hung unit.
So then it's only a single hung?
No, it's a
It's a double hung.
So the top will come down as well?
Well, not the round part of it, I don't think. That's stationary, isn't it?
The arch is stationary, I'm
It's
assuming.
stationary.
yeah.
Then we've got a mullion there, and then it's
And
a
then, okay, so
regular double
it's a
hung.
stationary arch
Yes.
top with a double hung?
Correct.
Okay, that's, but wasn't this originally a wooden window
Correct.
inside and out?
Well, inside was.
Okay,
I mean, we had this discussion outside, a couple of the HPC members, and I get HPC, you know, we want to get this thing back. I understand maintenance free. I mean, what would happen if an individual came in here and said, I want to buy you original type pine windows with storms, storm glass? How would the HPC react to that?
Good
Now,
question.
it was a good question brought to my attention. I want it original, we want maintenance free, and yet this person says, I'll give you single pane glass, I'll give you wood outside. What do you do?
And we did that with the Kiesling house.
Mhm.
We did, that was wood,
Back to the original?
back to the original.
Sometimes I regret it, Tom, I get it. I mean, you
I
want
mean, we
maintenance
had,
free.
yeah, and it was wood siding and all that, yes.
Does it affect its historical,
In my mind, no, but
well, since we're not applying for any grant money?
no.
But and anything we want to do with it in the future, are we going to require any grant money for it, or we don't even
Getting
know?
all money we can get, but
Chairs on and members, a couple of items. One is the Kiesling House is on the National Registry. The Riverside Park Building is
It's
not on the
Okay,
National
sorry,
Registry.
I was under the assumption that it was.
no, it's just local.
And this is simply the window replacement project that's, needs to be done. We'd like to move forward with this. And we're planning to accept the donor's donation for the materials, and then the city will be asked to, and plan to fund the installation labor.
Okay.
And that's just one phase of many phases. We still have the brick facade, doors, the roof seems to be okay. But we're working on, we got the accessibility, the ADA accessibility project done. And then we'll be working on interior stuff also. I don't know if you've been in the building lately, but it's a fantastic regional river environmental learning center. If we didn't have that tenant, it'd be maybe a little different story about what the future of the building should be.
Well, they always say when you use a building, it'll last a lot longer than if it sits empty.
Correct. Another project, another phase we are planning to implement this year is an HVAC system. It does not have heating, ventilation, and cooling system in the building. So we'll be working on that later on this year.
Okay.
I mean, there's been electric baseboard heat for a while, but that's been intermittently used.
Does Park and Rec have a recommendation as far as which color or anything goes?
Well, I know, not really. We're moving towards the,
Okay.
appearance of history here.
Right.
And that exact color has not gone before the Park and Rec Commission yet. No.
Okay.
Well, I think as far as the color choices, it's probably the best because it wouldn't look good with white or cream-colored windows, so the brown to me,
All the research we did in the old photos, if you scrape it down to the wood, there was no evidence of white.
yep,
Okay.
It looked to be the dark color
right.
from the original.
Okay.
So,
Those photos we have.
so I take it the sill is gonna stay, the stone sill
Yep.
on the bottom? And
So the
these,
stone sill stays there.
okay, and then it would be just the windows, not the lower level windows at all,
No.
just the regular, and that consists of how many?
There is 9, correct?
Yes, there are 9 at the main level of the building. Another future phase will be to look at the basement windows,
Okay,
but we're not talking about that
thank you.
today.
If there isn't any more discussion, I'm looking for a motion to accept the choice of the color, well, we don't have to decide the color today, just to approve the windows going forward.
I don't know, Tom, do we have the color? Because we have the choices. Whichever one's gonna look the best is what we'll do.
Correct.
I would say, we're looking at the dark bronze, one of the dark bronzes.
One of the dark bronze.
Yep,
Okay,
So either it'd be aluminum or the vinyl?
correct.
Cladding.
Yep.
all right. If I had a vote, I would pick the brown vinyl. I like that tone on that, not the shiny stuff. Anyway, I gave you my opinion.
I would second that
So-
opinion.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Any more discussion? Otherwise, I want a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you, Tom.
All right, the
You're
city
right.
report, 2020, we're working on a 2020 budget already. We're asking for $10,000 for the HPC commission, and that's used for any classes or anything that the commissioners would like to take. It does go also for grants for downtown signage and awnings. We use that money for that also. So that's what we're looking for, is to go with that $10,000 again. And then a little update on Herman Monument. We had Midwest Engineering was on site and did some core drilling to find out what the base is actually constructed of. And they did 5 or 6 different cores around the base, and then also up on the platform, on the lower platform where you start going up the stairs, circular stairs. And it was found that the gunite itself that was put on in the 50s is probably anywhere from 4 to 6 inches thick on the base. What's flaking off is, our assumption is, the gunite was put on in the 50s. The stuff that's flaking off right now is kind of like a stucco that was put over that. We think that was done in the 70s when they kind of updated it back then. I think it was 72 or 73. They went through and did a refurbish on it. And then once we get through the gunite, we find we've got limestone that is cracked. And then we get into the interior, and there we can find anywhere from brick to granite to quartzite. So it looks like we started out in the morning, we had brick, and at noon we ran out of brick, and then we started putting in granite or rock or whatever we had left over. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of stuff that's in there. So we're waiting for a report back from Midwest Engineering that we can send up to the state, and our goal is to get a face-to-face meeting with SHPO up there and find out what our next course is. If we need to go back to McDonald Mack, the architectural firm that did the condition assessment here a couple years ago, and start working off of that information that we've got, or what the next plan is, or what the next step is. Because what we needed for this current go-around for grant money was, they wanted a construction documents on how we were gonna shore the monument up when we started the investigation study, because the report from the architects, they wanted to cut a pretty big swath in the base itself to find out what we had in there. And they wanted a shoring construction documents, which we had a shoring guy down here and said, I don't know what I'm shoring off of. I can't give you any kind of documents like that. So Midwest Engineering was here at that same time, and that's when they suggested we do some core drilling and see what we're really dealing with. And it was 6-inch cores that we put in the sidewall and on the floor, and covered those back up here again. So that's where we're at with Herman right now. And that's it.
So we'll just wait until that report comes back and see what the next step is.
Yes, like I said, hopefully we'll get that report here in the next couple weeks. We make contact with SHPO and see if we can get a face-to-face meeting and see what our next course of action is, and move on from there. Again, I think it's going to be a multi-year project, whatever we decide or wherever we go with it. So we just keep plugging away. Our goal is to try to mitigate the infiltration of water into the monument itself. What form that takes, I'm not quite sure yet, how we're going to accomplish that. But that's our main goal, is we can go back up and put lipstick on it again and throw it down the road for another 15, 20 years and somebody else has got the problem again. But we'll see what we can do.
Well, once you hear all the thicknesses that have been added, you often wonder what the original foundation, is there any pictures of the original?
Yeah, we've got pictures
Base?
of the original, and it's Casota stone, it's limestone.
Okay,
And the big part in what the city folks are all kind of on the same page is we'd like to deconstruct it, save what we can, and build it back up, because the pit this limestone came out of Casota, we made contact with Vetter Stone, it's still in production.
really?
So we would have the same Casota stone as the base was put on in 1888.
Wow.
Amazing.
So we've got to do some research. We think we can maintain the National Historical Registry
Okay.
with doing that, keeping the products that we can and the new stuff that we've got to go on. But I know SHPO they want to try to strip off the gunite off the limestone, which I'm not quite sure how you take 4 or 6 inches of concrete off of that limestone without raising all kinds of heck with that limestone underneath, because it is fractured underneath of it already. So it's, and looking at, when they got into it, looking at all the mortar joints and stuff, the mortar's pretty much gone. It's mush in there. There's some good brick and stuff and some rocks, but they think right now, being that everything is kind of in compression, that's where it's kind of holding everything together yet.
So that's the base. What about above the pillars? That base up there, is that one more structurally sound? Are we having
They
issues?
say it is.
Boy,
I'd go the other way around, saying the big base is probably structured as sound. They think that one, the upper dome, can go another couple years before we really have to look at it, but
unless a bigger piece falls off,
Right.
contact them immediately.
there's some tie rods that are up there going into the brick, and myself and Ryan Wire were up there just last week, and a couple of those look more strained than they did when we were up there just a couple weeks ago. So that's why we're limiting the number of people up there, keeping them away from the outside walls so they can't hang on the bracing or get out and touch the walls. So, but there again, we've got a letter from the engineers stating that they're fine with people going up and using it, unless something drastically happens and falls, and we'll come in and do another reassessment and see where it is at that time.
Okay.
So,
Well, I suppose it's got to be done pretty soon, so.
all right.
That's what they said when they put the gunite on.
That's what they said. What exactly is gunite made of? I mean, it's a cement material, but what,
Yeah, it's just, it's what they make pools out of. It's just a cement that's, the air is either impregnated into the cement or it's pushed through a hose and just pushed on, blown on. So there was mesh behind it, which is a lot of places rusted off and stuff. The gunite itself it looks in decent shape with the cores and stuff. But there again, with putting that on, the limestone didn't have anywhere to kind of get rid of the moisture. Yeah, so it's kind of sealed it up. I mean, it's just like our brick buildings downtown where we've put stucco over the brick.
yeah,
It's kind of the same problem that we've got there, is it just seals everything in. It makes a nice Band-Aid for a few years, but
Yeah.
still haven't taken care of the problem.
A comment to go along with that, I dealt with it when I was the building official. Elwood's correct. We probably made a big mistake when they put the gunite on. If you talk to any old masonry man in his 80s, biggest mistake we ever made. Casota stone, an example, go up to the Holy Trinity Middle School. It's been well maintained over years and whatnot, never covered with anything. Looks like the day it was put in.
yeah,
Properly tuck pointed and maintained,
right.
but we got to deal with the gunite.
Yep.
So obviously that's not going to go back on again.
No. Well, I won't vote for putting it back on, but
All right. I have nothing to report. Is there any other discussion that anybody wants to put forth right now? Otherwise, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you.
All right.